At a busy rest stop along a highway, travelers were taking a break from their long journeys. Cars pulled in and out, and families stretched their legs, enjoying the warm sunlight and the smell of fresh coffee from the nearby cafe. It was the kind of place where people would stop to recharge before hitting the road again. Among the crowd was a white man sitting at a picnic table with his young black daughter. The girl looked around, her small hands fidgeting on the table as she tried to get her father's attention. He was glued to his phone, scrolling and tapping, seemingly unaware of everything happening around him. The little girl's eyes darted around, taking in the busy scene, but feeling alone in her small world. She wanted to share something with her dad, maybe a joke or a game, but he didn't seem to notice her. Each time she glanced his way, hoping for a smile or some words of encouragement, he remained absorbed in his screen, completely distracted. As the minutes ticked by, the girl began to feel a wave of worry wash over her. She bit her nails, glancing nervously at the strangers passing by. It was as if she was on an island in the middle of a busy ocean, surrounded by people yet utterly isolated. She tried to muster a smile and called out to her father, but her voice was lost in the noise of laughter and chatter all around them. Nearby, a Marine was taking a break after a long drive. He stretched his legs, enjoying the sunshine and the feeling of being on solid ground. He looked around, taking in the scene of families and friends enjoying their time together. As he surveyed the area, he caught sight of the girl at the picnic table. Something about her caught his attention. He noticed the way she kept glancing at her dad, her little face a mix of worry and uncertainty. The Marine's instincts kicked in. He knew something was off. With his military background, he'd have learned to pay attention to details that others often overlooked. The girl seemed to be trying to communicate something important, but her father was too distracted to notice. Suddenly, the girl made a small but desperate gesture. With her hands, she formed an SOS signal, a gesture she'd had learned in school for calling for help. The Marine's heart raced as he recognized the sign. He felt an immediate urge to act. He approached the table, his demeanor friendly yet serious. "Hey there, are you okay?" he asked, kneeling down to her level. His voice was gentle, inviting her to share her feelings. The girl nodded hesitantly, but her eyes darted back to her father, who remained focused on his phone. The Marine could see the conflict in her expression, the desire to be brave and speak up, yet feeling unsure of how her father might react. Noticing the tension, the Marine knew he had to step in. He turned his attention to the father, asking, "Excuse me, but is everything all right here?" The man looked up, surprise flashing across his face. He hadn't expected anyone to question his parenting, especially a stranger. The Marine's directness made the father pause, and for the first time, he truly looked at his daughter. He could see her discomfort and anxiety, feelings that he had unknowingly brushed aside. This moment of realization was important, and it set the stage for what was to come. The Marine's concern was genuine, and the little girl felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she would be heard today. In this busy rest stop, where so many stories were unfolding, her story was finally getting the attention it deserved. The Marine watched as the father's expression changed. For a moment, the man seemed confused, caught off guard by the Marine's question. He glanced at his daughter, who was still fidgeting with her hands, her eyes wide with both fear and hope. It was as if a veil had been lifted, and he was finally seeing her distress for what it was. "Is she okay?" The Marine pressed gently, wanting to encourage a conversation. The father hesitated, and for the first time, he put his phone down. I think so," he said, but his voice lacked certainty. He looked at his daughter again, who was now staring up at him with a pleading look. The girl, feeling a rush of courage, finally spoke up. "Dad, I'm scared. You didn't notice me. I wanted to play." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was strength in her words. The Marine felt a swell of admiration for her bravery. Speaking up was not easy, especially when it felt like no one was listening. The father's expression softened as he took in his daughter's words. He was silent for a moment, processing what she had just said. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," he finally said, his voice quieter now. "I didn't mean to ignore you. I was just busy with my phone." The Marine nodded, understanding how easy it is to get lost in technology and forget about the people around us. He stepped in, wanting to ensure the girl felt heard and safe. "It's important to listen to our loved ones, especially when they're feeling upset. Your feelings matter," he said, his tone encouraging. The father looked at the Marine, a flicker of realization in his eyes. He had been so wrapped up in his own world that he hadn't seen how his daughter was feeling. He leaned closer to her, lowering his voice. "I really am sorry. Let's play a game or do something fun together now. Okay." The girl's face brightened a little, but she was still hesitant. She wanted to believe him, but she also wanted to make sure he really meant it. "Promise?" she asked, her little voice almost a whisper. "Promised," he replied, sincerity filling his words. "No more phone until we've had some fun." The Marine smiled, pleased to see the father making an effort to reconnect with his daughter. "Why don't you two take a little walk?" the Marine suggested. "There's a nice grassy area over there, and you could play some tag or just enjoy being outside." The girl looked up at her dad, who nodded, finally ready to put away the distractions and focus on her. They stood up together, the girl taking her father's hand with a small smile. The Marine felt a sense of relief, knowing that he had helped turn the situation around. As they walked toward the grassy area, the girl's laughter began to fill the air. She started to skip ahead, pulling her dad along with her. The Marine watched them go, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He had intervened at the right moment, and now they were making memories instead of letting the moment slip away. The scene at the rest stop changed from one of isolation to one of connection. Families began to gather, laughter echoing off the walls as children played, and parents enjoyed the time together. The Marine felt a warm sense of hope as he saw the little girl and her father start to bond. Sometimes, all it takes is someone to notice and care enough to make a difference. He smiled to himself, grateful that he had been in the right place at the right time. In a world where people often hurry and forget to listen, he knew the importance of reaching out, of looking deeper, and of being there for one another. And today, he had done just that. As the girl and her father moved toward the grassy area, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The little girl's laughter rang out like music, and her father looked genuinely happy for the first time in a while. They found a spot under a large tree where the shade was cool, perfect for some fun. "Okay, how about a game of tag?" the father suggested, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. The girl's face lit up. "Yes, you're it," she shouted, giggling as she took off running. Her laughter was infectious, and soon the father joined in, chasing after her with a playful smile. As they ran around, the rest of the world faded away. It was just them, father and daughter, enjoying each other's company in a way they hadn't done in a long time. The girl darted between trees, her small legs moving quickly as she squealed with joy. Her father pretended to be slow, exaggerating his movements, which made her laugh even harder. Nearby, the Marine watched them with a smile. He could see the change in their dynamic, the bond growing stronger with each passing moment. It reminded him of why he loved being part of a community and helping others. It wasn't just about duty, it was about the connections we make with one another. After a while, they both collapsed onto the grass, breathless and happy. The girl lay back, looking up at the sky, watching the clouds drift lazily overhead. "Dad, that was so much fun," she exclaimed, her voice filled with delight. "I had a great time too," he replied, lying beside her. He turned to face her, resting his head on his hand. "I'm really sorry for not paying attention before. I promise to listen better from now on." The girl smiled at him, her eyes shining with trust. "It's okay, Dad. I know you work a lot. Just remember to play with me sometimes, okay?" Absolutely. We'll make time for our fun together, he promised, feeling grateful for this moment. It was a small but significant change in their relationship, and he knew they both needed it. Meanwhile, the Marine decided to take a walk around the rest stop, feeling satisfied with what he had seen. As he strolled, he noticed other families enjoying their time together. Some were having picnics, others were playing games, and a few were just sitting quietly, soaking in the peaceful surroundings. It felt good to be part of a space where laughter and connection thrived. The Marine spotted a small group of children playing with a soccer ball nearby. He stopped to watch, chuckling at their enthusiastic shouts and laughter as they chased the ball around. One of the kids kicked it a little too hard, sending it rolling in his direction. He picked it up and tossed it back with a friendly smile, enjoying the simple interaction. As he continued his walk, he reflected on the day. Helping that girl and her father had reminded him of the importance of being aware of our surroundings and the people in them. Life can get busy, and it's easy to forget to connect with those we love. He felt a sense of duty to continue looking out for others, to be the kind of person who stands up when someone is in need. Back at the tree, the girl and her father were now lying side by side, watching the clouds. "Look at that one. It looks like a dragon," she pointed out, her imagination running wild. Her father laughed and pointed to a different cloud. "And that one looks like a spaceship." Their conversations flowed easily, and the Marine smiled to himself as he saw them enjoying each other's company. It was moments like these that mattered the most, simple, joyful, and filled with love. As they got up to play again, the girl took her father's hand, leading him toward the playground nearby. The Marine waved goodbye, feeling content. He knew he had made a difference today, but the truth was, it was the connection between a father and daughter that truly mattered. In the end, everyone deserves to feel seen, heard, and loved. As the girl and her father made their way to the playground, the excitement in the air was almost palpable. The little girl's eyes sparkled as she pointed out the swings, the slide, and the climbing structure. She tugged at her dad's hand, urging him to hurry. "Come on, Dad. I want to go on the swings first." Her enthusiasm was contagious, and her father couldn't help but smile. He picked up his pace, feeling grateful for this newfound connection with his daughter. They reached the swings, and the girl jumped onto one, her feet barely touching the ground. "Push me high, please," she squealed, a mix of joy and anticipation dancing in her voice. "Okay, hold on tight." He positioned himself behind her and gave her a gentle push. As she soared through the air, her laughter echoed across the playground. The father felt his heart swell with happiness. This was what it meant to be present, to truly enjoy moments together. After a few swings, the girl hopped off, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "That was amazing. Now can we go down the slide?" Without waiting for a response, she raced over to the slide, her small legs carrying her with enthusiasm. Her father followed, laughing as he watched her climb up the steps with determination. At the top, she looked back at him, a wide grin plastered on her face. "Are you coming too?" she called out, her voice full of excitement. He nodded, climbing up beside her. They both sat at the edge for a moment, sharing a look of thrill before they pushed off together. Down they went, shrieking with laughter as they slid to the bottom. The girl jumped up, clapping her hands with joy. "Let's do it again," she shouted, her energy seeming endless. The father couldn't remember the last time he felt this carefree, and he loved every second of it. After several rounds of swinging and sliding, they took a break on a nearby bench. The little girl leaned against her dad, her breathing heavy, but her spirit still high. "This is the best day ever," she said, looking up at him with bright eyes. "I'm glad you think so," he replied, wrapping an arm around her. "I think so too. We should do this more often." The girl nodded vigorously, a smile still lighting up her face. Meanwhile, the Marine was taking a seat at a different bench nearby, watching the pair with a warm smile. He felt a sense of pride in having played a part in bringing them together. It was moments like these that reminded him of why he loved helping others. The connection between the father and daughter was stronger now, and that was what mattered most. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the rest stop, the father and daughter decided to join the group of children playing a game of tag. The girl ran ahead, her laughter carrying through the air as she joined the others. Her father followed closely, and soon he was part of the game too. The Marine observed the scene, taking in the joy that filled the playground. Children were chasing one another, squealing with delight as they ran in circles. It was a heartwarming sight, a reminder of the innocence and joy that childhood brings. Feeling inspired, the Marine stood up and walked over to the group. "Mind if I join in?" he asked, a friendly smile on his face. The children welcomed him with open arms, thrilled to have a new player in their game. They loved the idea of having an adult join them, and the Marine found himself racing and laughing alongside the kids. The game continued, and soon the little girl was tagging her father, both of them bursting into laughter. They were playing as a team, united in their shared joy. The Marine was glad to see the father enjoying the moment, connecting with his daughter in a way that was so important. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting beautiful colors across the horizon, the atmosphere at the rest stop felt magical. Families gathered, the laughter of children filled the air, and there was a sense of community that made everyone feel alive. In that moment, the Marine knew that the small act of noticing someone in need had blossomed into something beautiful. They were not just strangers passing through. They were part of a bigger story, one where kindness and connection could change lives. As the day came to a close, the father and daughter knew they had created memories they would treasure forever. And for the Marine, he had reminded them both of the importance of being present and looking out for one another, lessons that would stay with them long after they left the rest stop. As the game of tag continued, the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The little girl and her father were completely immersed in the fun, laughing and running as if the world around them didn't exist. The Marine, still playing with the kids, felt the energy of joy radiating through the air. It was a beautiful reminder of how simple moments could create lasting memories. The girl sprinted after her father, her small legs moving as fast as they could. "You can't catch me," she teased, her voice bubbling with excitement. Her dad playfully pretended to struggle to keep up, exaggerating his movements to make her laugh even more. It was a joyful sight, seeing them both so engaged and happy. Nearby, other families were watching, smiling at the lively scene. The parents exchanged glances, remembering their own childhoods and the pure joy of play. It was a refreshing break from their busy lives, a reminder that laughter and connection were essential, especially in today's fast-paced world. After a while, the game slowed down, and the children began to gather near the swings again, panting but still buzzing with excitement. The girl plopped down on the grass, her hair tousled and a wide grin on her face. "Dad, that was so much fun. Can we come back tomorrow?" she asked, looking up at him with hopeful eyes. "Of course. We'll make this a regular thing," he replied, feeling a sense of warmth in his heart. He realized how much he had missed out on by being distracted, and he didn't want to let that happen again. The Marine, catching his breath, walked over to them. "You both are great at tag. I'm impressed," he said with a friendly smile. The girl's eyes lit up, and she beamed at the Marine. "Thank you. You're really fast," she said, her admiration clear. "Thanks. It's all about having fun, right?" he replied. "Do you want to try something else now? There's a great climbing structure over there." The girl jumped to her feet, eager for the next adventure. "Yes, let's go," she exclaimed, racing ahead again. Her father followed closely, and the Marine joined them. As they reached the climbing structure, the little girl quickly scrambled up, her confidence growing with each step. She reached the top and looked down, her heart racing with excitement. "Look at me, Dad," she shouted, her voice full of pride. Her father smiled, feeling a sense of pride too. You're doing amazing. Just be careful, okay? He called up, watching her every move. The Marine stood below, ready to catch her if she slipped. You've got this. Just take your time, he encouraged. The girl took a deep breath, steadying herself. With determination, she climbed higher, reaching the top platform. When she finally stood there, her little arms raised in victory, the Marine and her father cheered for her. You did it, they both shouted, their voices full of excitement. The girl grinned from ear to ear, feeling like she was on top of the world. This is the best day ever, she called down. She felt proud of herself, and she knew that she could achieve anything if she just believed in herself. After climbing down, the girl took her father's hand and pulled him to the next area, filled with balance beams and small obstacles. They worked together, encouraging each other to try new things. The Marine watched them, feeling grateful to be a part of this joyful day. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the playground, the Marine realized how powerful these moments were. It wasn't just about playing. It was about connection, trust, and building memories that would last a lifetime. He felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had helped ignite the spark between the father and daughter. Finally, as darkness began to settle in, the girl turned to her dad. Can we get some ice cream before we go home? She asked, her eyes wide with hope. Her father chuckled, knowing he couldn't say no after such a wonderful day. Of course, ice cream sounds perfect. As they all walked toward the ice cream stand, the girl skipped ahead, her laughter echoing through the night. The Marine walked beside her father, who smiled and said, Thank you for everything today. I really needed this, and so did my daughter. The Marine nodded, feeling a warmth in his chest. It's my pleasure. Just remember to keep listening to her. She needs you. The father nodded, understanding the importance of that reminder. Together, they headed to the ice cream stand, ready to enjoy the last sweet treat of the day, united by joy and connection. As they approached the ice cream stand, the sweet aroma of freshly made waffle cones filled the air. The little girl bounced on her feet, her excitement palpable. I can't wait. I want chocolate with sprinkles, she exclaimed, practically jumping in place. Her father chuckled at her enthusiasm, feeling a rush of happiness himself. All right, chocolate with sprinkles it is, he replied, already imagining how delighted she would be with her treat. The Marine followed closely behind, enjoying the warm atmosphere of the evening. The rest stop had transformed into a lively place, with families enjoying their time together. People were laughing, chatting, and sharing stories, all while indulging in their favorite ice cream flavors. It was heartwarming to see such joy in a simple setting. As they reached the counter, the girl gazed up at the menu, her eyes darting from one flavor to another. Look, Dad, they have mint chocolate chip. Can I have a scoop of that too? She asked, her voice filled with wonder. Her father smiled, knowing how much she loved mint chocolate chip. All right, you can have 2 scoops today. 1 chocolate and 1 mint chocolate chip, he said, feeling generous after such a fantastic day. The girl squealed with delight, and as they waited for their order, she started bouncing on her toes again. The Marine stood back, watching the father and daughter interact. It was heartwarming to see them so happy together, sharing this simple yet special moment. As the ice cream was served, the girl's face lit up like the evening sky. She took the cones in her hands, carefully balancing both scoops. Thank you, Dad, she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Just don't drop them, he teased, laughing as he picked up his own cone. A classic vanilla with a drizzle of caramel. They stepped aside, letting others order while they took a moment to enjoy their ice cream. The girl took a big lick of her chocolate scoop, her eyes going wide as the sweet flavor melted in her mouth. This is the best ice cream ever, she declared, and her father couldn't help but laugh. Wait until you try the mint, he said, watching her with affection. They found a small table to sit at, enjoying their treats as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the rest stop. As they sat, they talked about their favorite flavors and memories of past ice cream trips. The girl shared a story about the time they had ice cream at the beach and how her dad had helped her build a sandcastle. And then we had to run away because the waves were coming. She giggled, her eyes sparkling with the memory. Her father nodded, adding his own funny details. And I almost lost my flip-flop in the sand. I had to dig for it. They both burst into laughter, their bond growing even stronger. It was moments like these that made everything worthwhile. Meanwhile, the Marine savored his own ice cream, enjoying the cool sweetness as he listened to their conversation. It was a reminder of the importance of family and the little things that bring joy. He thought about his own family and how easy it was to let life's distractions pull them apart. After finishing their cones, the girl leaned back in her chair, a satisfied smile on her face. "Can we come here every week?" she asked, her eyes bright with hope. Her father smiled warmly. "If you keep reminding me, I think we can make it a regular thing." They both laughed, the girl jumping up to do a little happy dance. The Marine stood up, feeling inspired by the moment. "I think I'll come back too. It's a great place to relax and enjoy time with loved ones," he said, joining in a light-hearted atmosphere. The girl turned to him, her face glowing. "You should bring your family too. We can all have ice cream together," she suggested, her innocence and kindness shining through. "Absolutely. I'll make sure to invite them next time," the Marine replied, touched by her thoughtfulness. As they left the ice cream stand, the father took his daughter's hand, feeling grateful for the day they had shared. The little girl looked up at him, her eyes full of love. "Thanks for today, Dad. I had so much fun." "Thank you for being so brave and reminding me to have fun too," he replied, feeling a sense of closeness. The Marine watched them walk away, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He knew that sometimes all it takes is one moment of connection to change a person's perspective. Today, he had witnessed the power of listening, playing, and simply being there for each other. It was a beautiful lesson he would carry with him long after leaving the rest stop. As they started to leave the rest stop, the sun was setting, and the sky was painted with beautiful shades of purple and orange. The little girl walked hand in hand with her father, swinging their arms back and forth as they made their way toward the parking lot. "I can't wait to tell Mom about our day," she exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. Her father smiled down at her. "She's going to be so happy to hear all about it. We had a lot of fun together, didn't we?" he replied, his heart feeling full. The girl nodded enthusiastically, her ponytail swishing behind her as she skipped along the path. As they reached the car, the father opened the door for his daughter, helping her climb into her seat. He buckled her in, giving her a quick kiss on the forehead. "Okay, ready for the ride home?" he asked, settling into the driver's seat. "Yep, but I want to keep talking about our day," she replied, her eyes shining. The father chuckled, turning on the radio softly. "All right, let's hear it. What was your favorite part?" The girl thought for a moment, her brow furrowing in concentration. "I think it was when we were playing tag. I loved chasing you and how you pretended to be slow." She giggled at the memory, and her father couldn't help but laugh too. "That was fun. You really are a fast runner. You almost caught me," he said, smiling as he started the car. The girl beamed with pride, her confidence growing. They pulled out of the parking lot and onto the road. The drive home was filled with the girl's animated storytelling. She talked about the ice cream flavors they tried, the swings, and how she climbed to the top of the playground structure. "And you know what else, Dad? I think I want to be a superhero when I grow up," she declared, her voice full of determination. Her father raised an eyebrow, curious. "Oh, really? What kind of superhero?" he asked, intrigued by her idea. "A superhero who makes people happy. I want to help kids have fun like we did today," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with passion. "And I want to wear a bright costume with a cape." Her father chuckled at the thought. That sounds amazing. I can see you in a colorful cape, flying around helping everyone have a good time. He loved how imaginative his daughter was. As they drove, the girl continued sharing her dreams and ideas. She spoke about how she wanted to bring ice cream to kids who couldn't get any and how she would organize fun games for everyone. Her father listened closely, feeling proud of her kind heart and creativity. "Dad, do you think I can really be a superhero?" she asked, her voice turning serious for a moment. "Of course, you can be anything you want to be. It just takes believing in yourself and working hard. And you already have a superhero's heart," he replied, glancing at her with encouragement. They arrived home, and as they parked the car, the girl jumped out with excitement. "I want to tell Mom everything right now," she shouted, rushing to the front door. Her father followed closely, feeling a sense of joy at her eagerness. When they stepped inside, the girl immediately called out, "Mom, you won't believe the day we had." Her mother, who had been in the kitchen, came out with a smile on her face. "What happened? Tell me everything." The little girl launched into her story, recounting every detail with enthusiasm. She talked about the swings, the ice cream, and how they played tag. Her mother listened, her heart swelling with love and pride for her daughter. As they shared the story, the father felt a warmth in his chest. It was a special moment, witnessing his daughter's happiness and the bond between them as a family. He realized how important it was to create these memories together. After the girl finished her tale, her mother knelt down to hug her tightly. "I'm so proud of you for having such a fun day with your dad. You are such a bright star." The little girl beamed, feeling loved and cherished. "Can we do it again tomorrow?" she asked, her eyes wide with hope. Her father smiled at her, knowing that they had started something wonderful. "Absolutely. We can make it a family tradition." As they settled into the evening, the father felt a sense of fulfillment. They had made memories that would last a lifetime, and he knew that the bond they were building was more important than anything else. In that moment, he promised himself to always make time for these precious moments, ensuring their family would continue to grow closer together, one day at a time. The next day, the little girl woke up bright and early, excitement bubbling inside her. She raced to the kitchen, where her mother was preparing breakfast. "Mom, can we go to the playground again today? I want to play tag and swing on the swings," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. Her mother smiled, knowing how much her daughter loved those outings. "Let's have breakfast first, and then we can see. How does that sound?" she replied, flipping pancakes on the griddle. The girl nodded eagerly, sitting at the table and tapping her feet in anticipation. "Can I have chocolate chips in my pancakes?" she asked, hopefully. "Of course. Just for you," her mother said, adding a handful of chocolate chips to the batter. As the pancakes cooked, the warm, sweet smell filled the kitchen. The girl's stomach rumbled, and she couldn't wait to dig in. After breakfast, the girl bounced around the house, getting ready to leave. She put on her favorite bright-colored t-shirt with a superhero logo on it, and her father noticed her enthusiasm. "Wow, you look like a superhero today," he said with a smile as he walked into the living room. The girl beamed with pride. "I'm going to save the day at the playground," she declared, striking a superhero pose with her hands on her hips. Her father chuckled, feeling inspired by her energy. Once they were all ready, the family piled into the car. The girl sat in the back, chatting about all the games she wanted to play. "I want to climb to the top of the playground again and slide down like a rocket," she said, her excitement infectious. "Sounds like a plan." Her father replied, looking in the rearview mirror to see her beaming face. "And maybe we can bring some ice cream home again later too." Her mother added, "I think we should pack a picnic lunch for the playground as well. What do you think?" "Yes, that would be awesome," the girl shouted, bouncing in her seat. When they arrived at the playground, the little girl jumped out of the car, racing toward the swings. Her father and mother followed closely, enjoying the cheerful atmosphere around them. Other children were already playing, their laughter ringing through the air. The girl quickly climbed onto a swing and called out, "Push me, Dad." Her father positioned himself behind her, giving her a gentle push. She soared high, feeling the wind in her hair. "Higher, higher," she shouted, her laughter blending with the sounds of the playground. Her mother watched, smiling as she unpacked the picnic basket she had brought along. She laid out sandwiches, fruits, and snacks on a blanket under a shady tree. "I'll call you when it's time for lunch," she shouted to them. After a few more swings, the girl hopped off and ran over to her father, grabbing his hand. "Come on, let's play tag," she exclaimed, pulling him toward the other kids. He laughed, joining in as they began to chase each other around the playground. The girl was quick on her feet, darting between the slides and climbing structures. She tagged her dad, squealing with delight. "You're it." Her father pretended to be slow, dramatically shuffling after her. "Oh no, I can't catch you," he joked, making the other kids laugh. But soon, he picked up his pace, and the game became even more exciting as they all raced around, enjoying the fresh air and sunshine. As the game continued, the Marine from the day before happened to stop by again. He saw the family playing and felt drawn to their joyful energy. He approached, smiling at the little girl. "Mind if I join the fun?" he asked, his friendly demeanor putting everyone at ease. "Sure, we're playing tag," the girl replied, excitement shining in her eyes. The Marine nodded, ready to jump into the game. With the Marine now part of the mix, the game became even more dynamic. He was fast, and the children laughed as they chased each other around. The father and Marine exchanged friendly banter, enjoying the lighthearted competition. After a while, they took a break to catch their breath. The little girl flopped down on the grass, panting but exhilarated. "That was the best game ever," she said, her cheeks flushed from running around. The Marine knelt beside her, impressed. "You did a great job. You're a natural," he complimented. The girl beamed at the praise. "Thanks. My dad is super fast too," she said, looking up at her father, who was wiping his brow but grinning widely. Just then, her mother called out from the picnic area. "All right, lunch is ready. Come and eat." The little girl jumped up, her energy renewed. "Food. Let's go," she exclaimed, racing over to the blanket. The father and Marine followed, laughter still lingering in the air as they joined her. As they sat down for lunch, the little girl excitedly spread out the colorful picnic blanket. Her mother had prepared a wonderful spread of sandwiches, fresh fruit, and cookies. The sweet smell of chocolate chip cookies filled the air, making everyone's mouths water. "Yum. I love cookie day," the girl said, reaching for a cookie as soon as the blanket was laid out. Her father laughed, shaking his head. "Wait until we eat our sandwiches first. We need to fill our tummies with good food before dessert," he reminded her. The girl pouted playfully, but then nodded. Okay. I'll eat my sandwich first," she replied, grabbing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and taking a big bite. Her eyes lit up with delight. "This is the best." The Marine sat down with them, feeling welcomed. He took a sandwich and admired how happy the girl was. "You know, I think peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are the best kind of superhero food. They give you energy to run fast," he said, joining in her excitement. "Really? Do you think they can make me fly?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Maybe not fly, but they'll definitely help you run like the wind," the Marine replied with a grin. The girl giggled, imagining herself soaring through the sky. As they munched on their lunch, they talked and laughed, sharing stories about their favorite games. The girl told them about her friends at school and how they often played superheroes during recess. "I always get to be the hero. They let me wear a cape," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. Her father chimed in. "And what kind of powers do you have as a superhero?" I can make ice cream appear whenever I want," she declared proudly, her imagination shining bright. "And I can jump super high. Like, really high." The Marine chuckled. "That sounds like an amazing superhero. But what happens when the ice cream melts?" he asked playfully. The girl thought for a moment, her brows furrowing in concentration. I'll just make more," she said confidently, earning a round of laughter from everyone. After lunch, her mother suggested they play a game of superhero rescue. "How about you two pretend to save me from a giant ice cream monster?" she said with a twinkle in her eye. The little girl jumped up with excitement. "Yes, let's do it," she shouted, ready to spring into action. The Marine played along, declaring, "I'll be the brave hero who saves the day." He stood tall, puffing out his chest dramatically. Okay, but I need a cape," the girl insisted, running over to the picnic basket to grab a blanket. She fashioned it into a cape, tying it around her shoulders and striking a heroic pose. With laughter and energy, they began the game. The girl ran around, pretending to fight off the imaginary ice cream monster while the Marine chased after her, playfully pretending to be overwhelmed by the monster. "Help! The ice cream is too strong," he called out, feigning defeat. The little girl, filled with confidence, shouted, "Don't worry, I'll save you." She swooped in, using her superpowers to rescue the Marine from the clutches of the giant ice cream. Their playful antics drew the attention of other families at the playground, who watched with smiles as the three of them created their own little world of fun. The little girl's laughter rang out, mixing with the sounds of children playing all around. After a while, the game shifted, and they began to include other kids at the playground. Soon, a small group had formed, all playing together in the wonderful game of superhero rescue. The girl felt like a true leader as she guided her new friends in their adventures. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the playground, the Marine took a moment to look around. He felt grateful to be part of this joyful experience, seeing the little girl's happiness and the connections being made. After playing for a few hours, they all gathered back on the picnic blanket for a snack and some water. The Marine took a sip of his drink and said, "You all make a fantastic team. I think we've saved the day." "Yeah, we really did," the girl replied, her face beaming with pride. As the day came to a close, they packed up their picnic and headed back to the car. The little girl talked nonstop about her favorite moments, sharing how much fun she had playing with the Marine and all the new friends she made. Her father smiled, feeling thankful for the day they had. "Today was special, and I'm glad we could all share it together," he said, looking at both his daughter and the Marine. As they drove home, the little girl leaned back in her seat, her heart full of joy. She couldn't wait to tell her mom all about the superhero adventure they had created. In her mind, every day held the potential for another great adventure, and she looked forward to many more days filled with laughter, friendship, and, of course, ice cream.